Most quantum security systems rely on monitoring dashboards like this one. Thresholds, error rates, alarms, and status indicators designed to tell operators whether the system is under attack. Everything here looks stable. QBER is within bounds, channel errors appear normal, and no tamper event has been triggered. But this is exactly where adaptive adversaries operate. Not by tripping alarms, but by shaping system behavior just enough to remain classified as clear. In the real world, security metrics don't just measure systems, they constrain them. And when adversaries learn those constraints, they learn how to move inside them. Most quantum security proofs are built around a very specific adversary model. The attacker is assumed to be static, memoryless, and non-adaptive, executing a fixed, one-shot strategy against a single instance of the protocol. They don't observe long-term system behavior. They don't learn from repeated interactions, and they don't adjust their approach based on feedback. These assumptions make formal analysis tractable and internally consistent, but they also describe an adversary that never changes over time. In other words, the attacker most security proofs assume is one that never learns. This is the disconnect. On one side is the adversary most security proofs assume: static, memoryless, non-adaptive, and independent of system feedback. This attacker executes a fixed strategy once and then disappears. On the other side is the adversary that actually shows up in real systems. Real attackers are adaptive, stateful, and patient. They operate across repeated interactions, observe system responses, and adjust their strategy based on feedback. They don't need to break the system in a single execution. They learn it over time. And once an adversary can learn the system, static security models no longer apply. This is where static security models break down. Security proofs provide guarantees at a point in time. They bound behavior under fixed assumptions and isolated executions. But adaptive adversaries don't operate at a single moment. They operate across time. With each interaction, information accumulates, correlations emerge, and independence assumptions quietly erode. What looks secure in isolation becomes predictable in aggregate. And once learning occurs across repeated interactions, static guarantees can no longer constrain adaptive behavior. Security metrics are often treated as neutral measurements, but they aren't. Thresholds, error bounds, and alarms actively shape adversary behavior by defining safe operating regions. When nothing changes, that silence conveys information. Stable metrics tell attackers where the system tolerates variation and where it reacts. Over time, stability itself becomes a signal, and attackers learn how to operate just below detection thresholds. The system doesn't just monitor behavior. It teaches adversaries how to stay invisible. Once attackers understand where detection thresholds lie, their objective changes. They don't try to cross the line, they stay just below it. Adaptive adversaries optimize each interaction to maximize information leakage while minimizing observable deviation. They trade speed for stealth, accepting slower progress in exchange for persistence. Over time, these small controlled interactions accumulate into meaningful knowledge, all while the system appears stable and undisturbed. The goal isn't disruption or immediate compromise, it's long-term access. When defenders respond to an attack, the system doesn't reset. It changes. Defensive patches, configuration updates, and threshold adjustments are all observable to adaptive adversaries, and those changes alter attacker incentives. Shifts in behavior reveal which controls were effective. New boundaries expose where the system now reacts, and stability after fixes confirms safe operating regions. Over time, each defensive response provides additional information that adversaries learn from. The result is not an end to the attack, but a refinement of it, where every patch becomes a new training signal. Under adaptive pressure, security stops being something you prove once and becomes something you sustain over time, Adversaries learn continuously, systems must adapt continuously, and validation never truly ends. There is no final configuration, no permanent threshold, and no static guarantee that holds indefinitely. Real security isn't defined by a proof or a passing metric. It's defined by how a system behaves, evolves, and is measured over time. Security is not a state, it's a process. Here are the key takeaways. Security proofs assume static adversaries, but real attackers are adaptive, stateful, and learn over time. Learning breaks independence assumptions, allowing information to accumulate across interactions even when each individual run appears secure. Security metrics are not neutral. Thresholds, alarms, and even silence create feedback that attackers exploit. Staying below detection becomes an optimization problem, where adversaries trade speed for stealth to maintain long-term access. Patching does not reset the game. Defensive changes become new signals that attackers learn from. In the real world, security is not a one-time guarantee. It must be continuously measured, validated, and adapted over time. Security is not a state. It's a process. Thank you for watching. If you found this useful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep building deep, real-world quantum security content. You can visit spectreai.ai to explore over 55 hands-on quantum security labs and learn by doing, not just by theory. If you're interested in going deeper, you can also find our books on Amazon. And finally, leave a comment and let us know what you'd like to learn next. We read them all. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.